Welcome back to the lesson 2 for the Central Absentee Precinct poll watching training course for 2025. Lesson 2, we're going to talk about the absentee ballot mailroom and the receiving of the ballots. Even though poll watchers can't observe it, I think it's a good idea for you to understand what's going on behind the scenes. So let's get started. So for those of you who have never seen an absentee ballot, I decided to include a sample. So basically what gets mailed out from the Office of Elections to all the absentee voters is an envelope that you see right before you. This is the front of the envelope. The ballot and all the instructions and everything is inside that envelope. This is the back of the envelope. Included is a set of instructions that is folded up for the voter on how to fill out the absentee ballot and how to mail it back. This is called the inner security return envelope. This is the envelope that the voters are going to put their ballots into and send back to the Office of Elections. This is the front of it. This is the back of the envelope. Underneath this flap here is where they will fill out all the material information that they need to put on to make the ballot a legal vote. Underneath that flap, this is the required information that the voter must fill out. They refer to it as the voter statement. As you see here, they have to fill out all this information. Their first and last name, they'll have to put their legal address on it. The signature of the voter is required, the voter's year of birth, and the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. This is the actual folded ballot that they receive inside the envelope, and that is the ballot that they will be putting into the return envelope to send back to the Office of Elections or the Central Absentee Precinct. Now, what actually happens when the ballots come back to the Office of Elections? Well, basically, the ballots are delivered from the post office on a daily basis. And also, because we have early voting for 45 days now, there will be ballots that are delivered every evening from the drop boxes that are in the satellite voting locations by 2 election officers to the Office of Elections. 2 people from the mailroom will pick up the ballots from the drop boxes outside the government center. It's like a big, gigantic mailbox. And they'll send people every morning out to the mailbox to take those ballots out of the box and deliver them to the mailroom. So once the ballots are all delivered into the mailroom, they're taken to a special workroom where they're sorted, they're date stamped, and they're counted and logged by category. Now, just let's go back here. Now, when they're date stamped, once the ballot is date stamped by the mailer receipt staff, it must be entered into the VERIS information system, which is the voter database, within 72 hours that the ballot has been received, according to election law. So they only have 72 hours to get it from the mailroom up to mailer check-in to be checked into the VERIS database by the mailer check-in team. The people in the mailroom review the absentee ballots under the flap where you saw all the information that they had to fill out for any omissions. If there are omissions, they will send that ballot through a cure process, which we'll discuss momentarily. The ballots are then bundled and they're entered into a tracking log, and they are prepared in trays to be sent up to the mailer check-in people for them to enter the ballots into the VERIS database, and also they will review the ballots for material omissions. So that's the purpose of the mailer check-in. What is the cure process? Well, the cure process is a check for the completeness and accuracy of any of the material information that the voter writes on the security envelope under that flap, which I showed you prior to this. And If any of that information is missing, the voter is given an opportunity to correct and complete that information when lacking in order so their vote will count. Both the mailer receipt team and the mailer check-in staff identify absentee ballots that need to undergo the cure process. Again, the material information required to prevent ballots from going to cure is the printed first and last name of the voter, the address of the voter. It has to have the signature of the voter, the year of birth, and the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. If any of that information is missing, the ballot will be sent to cure. This is an example of an overseas ballot where the military people would use. These are ballots that the military people would use, or people that are living overseas, like people who work for the State Department or anyone that's involved in foreign services, or even citizens of the United States that happen to be living in the overseas at the time of the election. The difference between the material information that is provided on this ballot is that they do not have to include their address because they do not live in the United States. So what happens when we make a curing decision? Well, basically, the return mailers that are identified for curing by the mailer receipt and mailer check-in teams are entered into the VERIS database. If there is an omission that requires curing, they will be entered into a cure log. Then it will be determined whether or not the voter has an email address. If the voter does have an email address, the voter will be contacted via email, provided an affidavit, and asked to return the information that is missing from the voter statement. If they don't have an email address, the voter will be contacted via US mail, provided the same affidavit, and again will be required to provide the missing material information on their ballot. If they don't get the ballot back in time, the ballot will be rejected. If the ballot does get back in time, the return mailer is sent back to the check-in team, and it will be entered into the VERIS database that, yes, they have returned the missing information, and that ballot will be processed along with the other ballots. The cure process ends with the ballot delivery by mail from both the drop boxes and the post office on the Friday preceding Election Day. Any absentee ballot that is returned after the close of business on Friday at the government center preceding Election Day will not be able to undergo the cure process, meaning that the voter will not get a notification that there's an omission or inaccuracy in their ballot, and the ballot will be rejected. And that is because there is not a sufficient amount of time for the ballot to get back into the Office of Elections and the information to be entered into the database and processed before the election is ended. And that is the end of segment 2, the second lesson of this presentation, and we'll join you shortly, hopefully, for lesson 3.